The woman accidentally noticed that the doll her best friend gave her was always staring at her. Curious, she picked up the doll to examine it. To her surprise, she felt a hard object inside. She quickly grabbed a pair of scissors and cut open the doll's eye. From inside, she pulled out a tiny hidden camera. She couldn't understand why her best friend would want to spy on her. Determined to find out the reason, she rushed to her best friend's house that evening to confront her. Unexpectedly, she saw her husband and her best friend getting out of the same car downstairs. Then the two walked arm in arm into her best friend's house. The woman was utterly shocked by this scene. It was then that she realized the two had been having an affair behind her back. Enraged, she immediately stormed into her best friend's house to catch them red-handed. When she pushed open a tightly shut door, what she saw completely terrified her. An entire wall was covered with surveillance footage of her at home. The woman was so scared that she fell to the floor. She couldn't believe the two had been spying on her just to carry on their affair. Suddenly, she heard the voice of a housekeeper outside. Peeking out, she was shocked to find that the housekeeper was actually her mother-in-law. At this moment, the housekeeper spotted her and asked why she was there. The woman realized that her mother-in-law was disguised as the housekeeper. She began trembling all over, unsure of how many more secrets her husband was hiding from her. Furious, she rushed upstairs, only to see amorous images of her husband and her best friend on the wall. She immediately called her husband to ask where he was. He lied, claiming he was working late at the office, completely unaware that his affair was about to be exposed. The woman opened a door, only to find that there was nothing inside. Just as she was about to search the next room, the hospital suddenly called her. They informed her that her mother had a sudden manic episode, and asked her to come to the hospital immediately. Concerned about her mother's safety, she hurried to the hospital. Upon arriving, she was astonished to discover that her mother's attending physician was one of her old classmates. Thinking she could entrust her mother to her old classmate, she accidentally overheard the old classmate talking to her husband on the phone. The old classmate even reminded her husband to be cautious in the coming days. The woman was shocked to realize that her old classmate was also one of her husband's informants. She immediately suggested transferring her mother to another hospital, but her mother insisted that her son-in-law had carefully chosen this hospital, and even the attending doctor had been hired at great expense by her son-in-law. Her mother praised the excellent conditions and told her to cherish her husband. Realizing her mother viewed her husband as a perfect man, the woman knew her mother wouldn't believe the truth even if she revealed it. Moreover, she didn't have any concrete evidence at the moment, so she decided to first collect proof of her husband's betrayal. She quickly returned to her best friend's house, intended to delete the surveillance footage of herself from the previous day. There, she discovered that her husband and best friend had been together for 6 months. At that moment, she felt like a fool for not noticing her husband's odd behavior earlier. She decided to copy the footage as evidence, to ruin her husband's reputation. But suddenly, she heard the sound of her husband's car pulling up. Unable to finish copying the footage, she chose to delete the videos of herself first. During this time, her husband noticed that the blinds, which were usually only half open, were completely lowered today. Suspicious, he guessed that someone might be inside the villa. He immediately rushed in to check, but found no one in the house. Seeing that the computer seemed to have been tampered with, he concluded that someone had been there. Finally, he walked toward the blinds, planning to pull them open, to see who might be hiding behind them.